So we're going to send you a bunch of new people that are going to show up to the office and they're just going to
figure it out.
Right?
like really?
He goes, how hard could door-to-door be?
Here we are today again at the Utah Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Peter Anthony. You need to like, you need to subscribe. You need to start sharing this. What we do today is going to be different than some of the other videos that we've put together because we are here with a Utah legend. He is absolutely blowing it up. He's a best-selling author. He is one of the icons in the door-to-door industry. He runs his own door-to-door events that people from around the world come to. I've been lucky enough to actually go to them, and it's incredible the wisdom that, and I'm going to say it only because I'm 61, but this young man is just filling people up and just throwing so much air and love into their sales. I'm here today with Sam Taggart. Man, we are just, brother, you're killing it. It's so cool to have you on. And I want to start at a crazy spot because we were talking about being related to people. And my kids have the app since we've moved to Utah, you know, the family lineage. And we sit at the Delta Center at their jazz games. And my kids let me know, Papa, we're related to 250 people here. And I'm not related to anybody. It's all through their mother's side because she's Scottish and English. And you're related to some really cool people. So tell us a little about that, man.
Well, I was doing the same thing. Like, you know, you're just like, what am I? And I guess my family has done a lot of good family history. And Ragnar Lothbrok was in there. A bunch of other like kings in like England, you know, you're just like, wow, I'm like when their profile pictures are all a coin, you know, you're just like, that's cool.
That's so cool. Super cool, man. Wow. Vikings. You guys just conquered. And now you're conquering in sales and you're coming out with another book. Let's break into that because as we were talking before the podcast, we have a lot to say. I think we both have a lot to say on how young salespeople are becoming lazier and lazier because of AI. And I don't want to say lazy is not the word. I think they're willing to work hard, but I think they're winding up training themselves to be dependent instead of learning intrinsically and allowing their energy to sell. They're looking for some sort of magic pill to get them there faster. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it started well before AI. I mean, you think of like just the internet in general and, you know, when Google AdWords started coming out and then all of a sudden Facebook ads and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And it's social media and influencers. And it's like, I made this one video that created X. And I think that this whole mentality, I interviewed a rep today to potential work for us. And, you know, you could tell like his whole dream was to be a YouTuber. He's still like, you know what I mean? He's 25 years old and he's still holding on to this. Like, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And don't get me wrong, Mr. Beast makes so much money. Like, they're the NFL and the NBA of YouTubers. But
they're savants, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they would have, wherever you put Beast, as long as he was passionate about it, he would have found a way to become Mr. Beast, I believe.
100%.
And the same with the Pauls.
Yes. It's like, well, that's the good point. It's like Jake Paul became a boxer and he became a WWE, you know, Logan became a WWE person and like they could, wherever they want to that's just who they are. Like they're going to be in a professional echelon of whatever category they chose to pursue.
Same with Andrew Tate, right? He's going out there, he's kicking butt as a world champion kickboxer and then he becomes Andrew Tate.
Yes. They just had a level of, you know, self-discipline to get wherever they need to be. And I think everybody's had this concept of like, I'm going to post an ad. It's going to magically get me appointments. And then I'm just going to magically start making money. And it doesn't work that way. It's like, and then they'll complain or they'll hire a marketing agency. And then the business owner is sitting there going, how come this marketing agency sucks so bad? And every agency is going to look back at the business owner and be like, did you call the leads we got you?
Yeah.
How good your sales
number one thing.
Yeah. Like,
what's your sales? Our number one thing from our marketing agency is what is your sales process?
Yeah.
But forget about getting you a lead. Why aren't you closing? Why are we sitting here having a conversation that you need more money? there's something broken in your process. If you want to scale, we're great to help you scale. But if the process is broken,
I don't solve that by throwing more money at marketing ads.
No.
And I think that's the problem, is this vanishing, taking ownership over, I can pick up the phone and take somebody that had the minorest amount of interest, or I can knock a door that has zero interest in what I'm doing, but have a real conversation with them and express value and create interest and close. You know what I mean? And that art is just like, wait a minute, like, why are we like forgetting when people run a business, they go start a company, they're like almost shitting on sales. And you're like, hold on for a second. You are a salesperson. You run a company. And if you want to throw crap at sales and be like, yeah, we don't like salespeople, or we don't want sales. I'm like, hold on. That's what makes money go around. If you don't convert, you don't make money. And if you don't learn the art of communication and sales and conversion, then you're going to be sacrificing so much money on marketing, and it's going to go to the wayside. So much money on the wrong thing.
Yeah, and I find a lot of business owners, when before I owned my consulting agency that we've had probably almost 30 years, my first brick and mortar was hair salons. And the number one, I was hired by a company called Nexus Hair Care in the 80s to be their educational director, to help people learn how to sell shampoo. So an interesting stat at the time was more than 90% of people who got their hair cut, right, more than 70% of people who got their hair cut in a 24-hour period of time would buy shampoo. But 95% of them wouldn't buy shampoo from their hairdresser. They go to the
Walgreens or whatever.
They will go to CVS, Walgreens, or some sort of supermarket, which is interesting because the person who has the greatest influence is the person who has a half hour of your captured time. And they were like, well, we don't want to be salespeople. Now, our salons turned the table on that. We sold $1 million in just shampoo per location, which towards the national average, that was about $24,000 in sales. We were doing $1 million per location, millions and millions of dollars of suds, because we were willing to have that conversation, because we were passionate about the outcome. And I think you said two things that were really genius already. One is, are you ready to have the conversation? Are you ready to get them interested? Like, what if you're passionate? I think people are interested in passion.
Yes. And so I'm training my sales team yesterday. So I go into the sales meeting. I kind of like asked the manager, I was like, hey, is it cool if I just do training? And we've got our event coming up, Door to Door Con, January 23rd and 24th.
We'll be there.
So
January 23rd, 24th. Everybody should go to Door to Door Con.
It's a freaking epic event, and we could sell you right now on it. But anyway, the guy comes and he's like, hey, do you want to come to Door to Door Con? I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's like knocking a door and be like, you want solar? You want pest control? What do you think? Like it was just like, he just had this, like, he thought he was killing it. You just watched him. He's like, wasn't that good? I'm like, that was the worst sales pitch in the planet. And out of principle, because I'm a salesperson, I therefore cannot buy from you. Even if I wanted to go, I would tell you no, because I'd feel bad giving you my money, because it's like, you didn't
work for it. You didn't
work
earn
for
it.
I want to feel like you got excited about it. So show me like an overly enthusiastic version of what this could look like to get me so hyped on this event. Why the workshops, like the Emmett Smiths and the John Gordons and the, every vendor, we have 100 vendors and all the different things that you could sell me on, from a basketball tournament to the after party. Like, I want you to hype the shiz out of this. And he just didn't know how to do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing.
And you own. And
I own a sales training company. I was like,
and the sales training is what D2D is all about.
Yes.
It's like be excited. And I don't understand. We used to do something with our hairstylists, is where I would say, okay, cool. They'd show up and there'd be no shampoo at the back bars. There'd be no hair care products on, and no brushes. And they were like, how are we going to do hair? And I said, I don't know. These obviously aren't important tools to you because you've never sold any. If they were so important to the process, I would imagine that you'd sell more of them. I can't shut up about the tools that I love.
Yeah.
I love it.
And people think it's embarrassing. Like, it's funny. They're like, I don't want to come off as salesy, or I don't want to come off as, and I hear this a lot, because we've trained, I've trained tens of thousands of salespeople. And in so many different industries. Like tomorrow I'm training a company. We're going to take them on the doors. They do like, it's called Jace Medical, and they're like bunker in a box or like these really robust emergency preparedness kits.
Love
and
it.
Yeah, so
everybody
random.
needs one.
Yeah.
You should be so excited that you're showing up with something that you absolutely need, and you probably have forgotten because it's just not sitting top of mind.
Yes, and so I'm actually excited because I started a show called Will It Sell, and I just go sell random things. And so I took this guy and I said,
love
okay,
that.
Let's take this concept of your medical kit, and I'm just like, what gets you excited about this? And I had to like interview him because I'm like, I have to come up with a pitch. They've never done it door to door. And then I was like, how about this as the pitch? And he looks at me as the owner and he's like, oh, you could almost see like month one of starting his company come back to life. Like his like color of his skin change. You know what I mean?
So, it's like, incredible, right?
Like he was just like, oh, that's what this is about. And I was like, I don't know shiz about your medical process and the little shots you have in there and all that other stuff. But I do know how to strike on emotion.
Yes.
I do know how to get excited about something. I do know how to overly exaggerate the benefit of like, this is going to change your freaking life, because whatever it is that I'm peddling, I have to come off with, oh my gosh. And do I apologize for that passion? No. People want to be around people that are passionate. Don't show me a famous movie star. Show me a famous sports athlete. Show me anybody that's done anything cool in their life and ask them something they're passionate about. Like get them talking about that. And I guarantee you they're not going to be like, well, it's cool. We just made this movie. It's called Star Wars. It's like,
and it goes back to that. To probably about 16 or 17 years old, that Simon Sinek video in Puget Sound, right? You got to start with why, right? Because everybody wants to tell you the facts and figures. Everybody wants to tell you why their widget or why their solution. Here's all the benefits to my solution. Well, hold on a second. It's interesting, but it's not great, right? What's interesting about that is that you have to be passionate. So if I'm selling an emergency prep kit, I'm going to be like, holy cow, you're going to feel like your family's hero the moment you need this. Or you're going to feel like the biggest loser on the planet because you didn't invest just a couple of $100 to protect your family. I wouldn't even imagine what life would be like if in that one moment, my family needed me, I failed because I wasn't excited about this. Now, here's what's really cool about it. We have everything from ace bandages to, insulin shots in this and everything in between. We can fix anything on the fly. You got a bullet wound, it's in there.
Yes.
Right? It's like, oh, okay, cool. I have to have it. Oh man, you guys got into a car accident. Hold on a second. We've got, these incredible blankets, these Kevlar blankets that are thermally insulated that are right there, and they pack up this big. There's 5 of them inside for the whole family. Exactly. So if the truck breaks down in the snow because you thought you did something good, because you're taking your family snowboarding, and then all of a sudden you have a blowout and you're in the side of the road and you thought that it was going to be great because it was 30 inches of powder, but now you're stuck in 30 inches of powder on the side of the road and a truck is coming. But you're prepared. Like, how do you feel now? It's like, oh, I'll take 2.
Exactly.
I got to put one in my wife's car.
Yes.
So I think, and it's interesting, and you probably come across this too. We own a marketing agency, so we're always teaching people how to do videos, and we create the scripts, and it's interesting because we're creating all this voice AI, and every time, Sam, every time, my clients are like, could you just do it for me? Like, could you say that for me? Could you be I'm like, no, that's not the game. The game isn't that I'm the sham wow guy for your product. Happy to do that. That's called partnership, but I'm not interested in being partners with people who don't have sales processes.
Yep.
And I think that's the interesting pitch, right, for us when we're training people. It's like, no one's going to acquire your business if you don't nail down your sales process. They're not interested in your solution. They're really interested in your process, because they can recreate the solution, but a recreated solution without a process is worthless.
Yep.
That's what these people are. I don't know why they don't know it, but it's always, we ask this question, you probably ask a similar question, like what puts businesses out of business? There's only one thing, it's lack of cash, right? It's not the product. It's just lack of cash, and lack of cash is always reflective in sales.
Yep.
Always, always, because everybody has experienced a really terrible product where the owner's rich.
Take McDonald's.
I was just going to say, like, how do you sell a dried out burger and feed 1% of the world every day with a dried out burger?
Yeah.
You can't, it's terrible. It's the worst hamburger on the planet, but they sell more than anybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. So what are the things do you guys offer sales training that you go in and you train their whole team?
Yeah. So like I go to
brutal.
Tomorrow at this Chase company, Monday, Tuesday, I'm in Portland with the window company. We have an online training, we have events, we have coaching, we have, a team of experts. We have, a pretty large sales, leadership, and recruiting kind of company. So we do everybody always asks us, will you just do it for us? Like today I was on with a pressure washing company out of Washington. And he's like, oh, I wanted to partner with you. I'm like, well, I don't want to partner with you. So congratulations. It was so funny. He's like, oh, so do you think every time a home service company calls me and says, I want you to sell our stuff and let's partner, like, why would I do that? Yeah, and again, it goes back to, will you do the video for me? Will you do this? I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'm not Harry Potter. I'm not going to run your company and magically blow a wand and you're doing 10 more million. Like, that's not what we do. What we do is we partner with you in the sense of we recruit for you. We can build out your training. We can, you know what I mean?
We're going to polish the processes that are necessary for you to scale. What we're not going to do is teach you the fundamentals necessary to grow and sustain, because there's a differentiation between growth and scale.
Well, we'll do both those. It's what we won't do is knock the door for you and close the door. You know what I mean? Like we can build out the whole system, the whole process, the optimize the tool from the software, from like everything you need. The only thing we won't do is babysit your salespeople and run them every day. And you know what I mean? I was like, and that's what's like hard, is everybody's looking for that magic bullet. And I always just say, you've got to go get some reflection of like, are you a sales leader or do you need to go hire a sales leader? Do you need to go hire an ops leader because you're the sales leader that got sucked into operation, right?
And that's an interesting, that's an interesting dichotomy that you're presenting, right? Because there's really two things. There's operation and then there's sales, right? So often you'll see, especially in my former industry, right, where, we've just coached probably, tens of thousands as well, like just a ridiculous amount of people worldwide. And you always see the best executioners, then they want to own the business. As soon as they own the business, they realize they're really bad at operations because they never thought about them.
Yeah.
They
were producers.
They were producers. And if you're a producer and you're working with somebody who's a great operator, you're producing at a very high level, and then you feel euphoric, like you're the one, that the reason this whole company is working is because of you. And it's partially because of you, but it's also, you need that balance, right? That you need the great operation, and the operator should determine where the pieces need to be filled for sales. Like you said, like you need to maybe hire a salesperson who actually knows what they're doing.
Yep. Well, and I'll call it, like, the problem is if you're juggling, let's call it 6 different jobs, from finance to operation to recruiting to onboarding, you know what I mean? Like all the things that it takes to run a business. Like I get it. Being a small entrepreneur is like hard, but it's like, the problem is that you go run a marketing campaign and you're juggling 17 things and you don't call the leads that the marketing, you know what I mean? It's like, somebody's got to be right there, speed to lead, right? And I think a lot of times it's hard for people to realize, like, I love Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. It's like, I need to pay somebody that's an expert in that thing to then go produce, because I'll never get anywhere if I'm stuck juggling maybe something that's out of my genius or not as effective of use of my time. And most business owners that we coach, I have to coach them back into going and sell. Like, I'm like, dude, what's the most effective? What would solve a lot of your problems right now?
If you went
and sold like a shiz ton, like, you're really good at sales, aren't you? He's like, yeah, I'm the best. I'm like, show me. When was the last time you actually closed something? Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, it's been a minute. I'm like, and you're worried about cash right now. So why don't you offload all of the manage like all of the operational jargon that you continue to convince yourself, which is the path of least resistance. Cause yeah, it's comfortable. Like, I don't know, running a report and looking at books and whatever you're doing, and I'm like, what's uncomfortable is having to pick up the phone and just cold call, or you have to go knock, or you know what I mean? I'm like, but at the end of the day, if you're complaining about where your income is, like, let's start here with the revenue generator.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too is that people would emancipate themselves financially if they would embrace that genius, that sales genius, and then just put that money aside and then just invest it in different ways outside of their company, like passive income type of investments, whatever it is, stocks, bonds, real estate, whatever floats their boat. But there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, which was super popular in the late 80s, early 90s. And it talked about these barbers who were millionaires, because they were great at their genius and they just invested. I think the other challenge that you brought up, everybody wants to be an influencer. Like it's really interesting. They want to be influencers instead of somebody of influence. And I can't tell you the person, but this former monk that I once worked with, who's super popular now and has a podcast, realized that he was not a person of influence. He was an influencer, which means a lot of people consume generic content, but he's not the reason the content exists. His audience is listening to the person on the other side of the table. Like, I think Joe Rogan's super, super wise. But he's not the person he's interviewing. That person's the expert on physics or wrestling or whatever. He's somebody who's knowledgeable and passionate about it, so he brings out that.
Yes.
And what you see, influencers who are really passionate about something or can display passion become people of influence, but they're not necessarily going to make a lot of money, with the exception of the outliers like maybe a Kim Kardashian or her younger sisters who are just blowing it up by selling makeup because girls are following their trend leading ideas. Yeah. But outside of that, it's very difficult. So I think that as people are building out these ideas around their companies, that sales needs to be the dominant theme. Like, what is your sales process? How does it work? How are you going to polish it and duplicate it? And the question is, what are you doing? We believe a lot about this just because we had brick and mortars, which is a different environment, right? You're taking somebody and I want to do your hair, right? And you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I want somebody cut my hair. I like it long, right? So the first fear a human being might have is you're going to cut it too short or I'm going to look silly, right? Because that's my look. That's, and people would always say, well, what's the difference? In the 90s, my haircuts were almost $250 and the average haircut was about $21. So they're like, what's the difference between a $25 haircut and a $250 haircut? And I would say, well, about $225. And they were like, no. What's the difference between yours and mine? I'd say probably nothing, but they're paying me to protect their brand. And you think they're paying you to create a brand for them. And that's why I do celebrities and you work with average people. Celebrities, so much goes into their brand and their brand identity and the idea. So when we did Britney Spears or when we did Debbie Gibson or any of the people in between those eras, they would come to us specifically for me to protect their brand. I can make a suggestion, but it was to a panel of people who were culturing that brand. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then I asked, like, what is the sales culture? And this is a question I'm asking you. It's not rhetorical. What is the culture that people are building to create enthusiastic sales teams? Like I see like my collaborator and the co-founder of Club Social, where we're sitting in, Kyle, right? He's killing it, right? He has this really interesting culture. And there's another group that does pretty well, Hero Windows, and I see them, building out. And I know that guy because he was a platinum partner with Tony as well. And I look and I'm like, man, these guys are building cultures. right? They're building sales cultures. Maybe a Grant Cardone builds a sales culture. You clearly have a killer sales culture, right? But you're the head of the culture, right? You're a snowboarder, you're skiing, you're cool, you've got cool hair, you dress cool. So cool people are attracted to you.
So I think there's three parts to that answer. And I think this is a question a lot of companies need to really ponder. Because there a lot of companies we consult, I mean, in the hundreds of companies that we've consulted now, like many, many hundreds. Most of the time the owner's like, how do I get a culture like that company? Let's take like Performance Windows or Grit Marketing or something. And I was like, well, those two are very separate, different cultures. Look at the owners, look at their backgrounds, and then look what they designed. And Grit Marketing, they're a pest control company. And they made
Grit Marketing.
Marketing.
Oh, Grit.
And
Grit Marketing is a pest control company?
Yeah. So they basically said, hey,
interesting.
How do we build something that's boring like pest control and make it different, gritty? And so all their branding is attracting swaggy, young, 21-year-old, hipster type salespeople that are also really good. Where maybe a 50-year-old dude might come to them and say, well, I want a bunch of those guys. But the 50-year-old dude's complaining because he's like, well, the younger generation just doesn't know how to work. And the younger generation just doesn't seem to sell like we used to. And so the younger generation doesn't have and I'm like.
So they have a series of biases that they put in front that are not allowing them to extrapolate what's good about the younger generation.
Exactly.
And celebrate that, because the younger generation clearly responds to words of affirmation.
Oh, and they clearly are winning.
Yeah.
Like if I look at my stage, so I have a stage at Door to Door Con with the Golden Door, which is that plaque you had right there. And there's usually 100 to 150 people that win it. It's the top 1% of each industry. And if we look at the average age, it's 23, 24. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, you can undeniably argue that they have a work ethic. So let's just call a spade a spade. So key number one would be, what is the culture I want to design? And am I being congruent with that? Meaning, if I'm an old guy trying to wear suits and ties, but yet I'm asking for a bunch of hipsters that want to wear flat brims and baggy pants, and I'm like, but you guys got to wear this and you got to do, it's like, hold on, there's an incongruency. You're asking for one thing and then you're forcing another thing and then you're babysitting the other way.
And we see that in faith as well, right? You see that, we live in Utah, so you see that I happen to go to an LDS church, but you can see it clearly in the faith where they're not recruiting or deepening their relationship with young people, because they're saying, okay, cool, you're going to come to church. We're going to sing 200-year-old hymns that have no chord. It's not exciting, right? And there's no reason that we should be singing 200-year-old hymns, because they're hymns. They could be updated.
That's their choice.
Yeah, it's the same idea can be reanimated into better music.
But then they're asking, well, how come we're not attracting the younger generation? And it's like, because they go and get bored. Like they don't feel the spirit there. And it's not that they don't have the spirit. It's they feel it differently. And so that's like the point. And so number two, so it's like finding the congruency of you as a leader and what you're asking for, and do those line up? Number two is the people, right? So it's like we attract what we are kind of thing. So if you're not attracting the people that are making up your culture that you want, you've got to ask yourself, okay, who do I need to become to then deserve a culture like that? Does that make sense? Do I need to be more fun, more energy? Are
you building the jungle that the lions you're recruiting want to play?
Exactly.
You have to build the jungle that the lions want to play, so that they'll tell the other lions. We did a class that's obviously gorillas don't eat bananas, but the idea is, like if I'm trying to recruit gorillas and I hand them a Starbucks, they're looking at me like, what am I going to do with this? But if I hand them a big thing of bananas, they're going to go back to the gorilla patch and tell all the gorillas, the bananas are over here, guys. Right. And I don't see, to your point, those 50-year-old people who've made it, adjusting their culture to be attractive to that new young set of lions.
Yeah, and they are lions today. The last one would just be, what's the tolerance to the structure? So like you build the structure, But then there's this, what creates low culture is high tolerance. So if you think about it like, hey, what are we allowing into this lion's den? What are we allowing and what are we kicking out? Like if it's like, this is a lion's den with a bunch of lions, and then there's a bunch of turkeys in that den, and then there's a bunch of, hyenas, and then there's a bunch of, it's like, wait a minute, we're not a lion's den anymore. We're just like a jungle of softies that
But if we're calling
work.
ourselves a lion's den, the lions are like, you guys aren't lions.
Yeah, you guys are turkeys.
Yeah.
And so what naturally will happen, it's like if you went and played for Alabama and their football team, or like whoever's the best, we'll call it, and then the NBA. And all of a sudden the NBA just started tolerating average players, and like high school kids are like, yeah, the Bucks recruited me. And, it's like, wait, you're what? Like,
yeah, you're a 61-year-old short fat guy.
You're a short fat guy. Like, how'd you get on the team? They're going to be like, F this. I don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to be
I've got what do they say in the Bible? They talk about being evenly yoked. And what most people think means that you have to be connected to someone who's at the same high spiritual level, which is true. But the idea, what they don't understand is it is always the stronger oxen that dies in an unevenly yoked bear, right? So you have to recognize if you're stronger spiritually, if you're stronger work ethics, you're not going to be attracted to the weak.
Yeah.
You're just going to be like, no, man, if I go there, I'm going to die.
You will literally feel like you're going to die because the second you walk into the room, it has an essence.
Yeah.
And you're like, how much is everybody making? How's the vibe? Is everybody just leaving at 3 or they stay until 8? You know what I mean? Like if I'm a dog, I'm like, I respect game. You know what I mean? Like I see Kobe Bryant practicing 4 times a day. I'm going to be like, damn, respect. No wonder he's so good. You know what I mean?
And if I want to be better, I'm going to practice 5.
Exactly. I'm just going to be like, well, what time do you get here? Okay, I'll get here at that same time. Like game respects game. Yep. And I think the problem is most people don't consciously architect, like, how do I create that game? And they just think because I have human and I have a body in my office, I should therefore have sales. And I'm like, how is it the Olympic records keep getting breaking? It's just like there's this competitiveness you've got to be able to create that creates the best of the best. And that comes over time. It's like if you just stay consistent to, being committed to that goal, you'll weed out some of the cancer and you'll start attracting some more lions.
Well, I like the wording that you used. When I was coming up in my industries, we would use the word standards and values, but I love the word tolerance because it's much more, it's much more appropriate because what you're tolerating personally, you've diluted not only your standards, but your personal culture and your personal value system. So tolerance is a much better, stronger word.
Well, I think we're afraid. I mean, I'm guilty. Like it's scary to kind of go and have a hard conversation with somebody and put them back in check. But if you look at the military, you look at the missionaries, you look at anything, the church, it's like, we don't tolerate that. We're gonna have to excommunicate you. We don't tolerate that. We're going to have to kick you out of the military or expel you out of school. And you're like, oh, it's not that it's the problem is like in an employment sales environment, you're like, you're all we got, you're the best we could find, you know what I mean? And it's just like all of a sudden you start to lower your culture down to like the tail wagging the dog because you're afraid that there's nobody sitting there right behind him willing to do the hard thing called door knock or sell or cold call.
Well, let's just go full circle. The owner's not taking responsibility. They're not becoming the sales leader. They became the operational leader in most cases. The ones where the owners did become the sales leader, they can easily hire operations because they've got so much money and cash flow.
100%.
And I think that there's an aspect to that culture. It's like, okay, cool. And there's another book. It's called The Peter Principle, where people get elevated to their point of failure. So you're an expert at selling, so we're going to make you the sales leader, which the sales leader requires to be an expert at training, not necessarily selling. You might be good at training, but being the best salesperson, you better be really freaking good at training because you just took your best pony and you pulled him out of the race.
Took him out of the race.
Like, what is that? And people don't think about it when they're building. So that's really cool. So you guys go in and you help them make those adjustments.
Yep, that's what we do.
I love that. And because that's a hard call, which makes you different than an EOS type system, right?
Yeah.
Which I love EOS. And, I think there's some genius to it, but it's basically like, oh, we're going to put you all in the room and say, okay, cool. What are the seats on the bus that we need?
Yeah, which is
Who's
important.
Fulfilling the seats, and
it's like the high level thing, and then we just like micro into kind of the more details of like revenue.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me a story that's a massive failure that makes you laugh. Not that your team failed, but that the person, because I have a ton of them where people's like, oh yeah, and they throw $250,000 at us, and we create this genius marketing plan that totally crushed for one client, and we hand it to another client, and it's total failure. And it's just, it's funny.
Yeah, there's one we just had. He calls me. He's like, I want all my money back. It's like 30 grand or something. And he's like, what'd I get over 4 months? And he's a patio company out of San Diego. And, so it escalates to me. And I was like, all right, I'll call the dude if he's demanding a refund. I don't want to send him back 30 grand. You know what I mean? I was like,
nobody does.
I was like, F that. I'm calling this dude. Who is he? So I call him up, and I was like, help me understand what's going on. He's like, well, we paid you 30 grand. We went 90 days and we don't have anything to show for it. I was like, well, hold on. I'm showing on our record that we've reached out 4 times to try to schedule our film day to come out there, and you haven't had that. So we've not fully delivered. So I apologize for that. And then we also missed the last 2 events that you were supposed to come to. You didn't show up. I don't know what happened there. So then and you paid for that. So I'm just letting you know. And then we've sent you, oh my gosh, it looks like 27 recruits. What happened to the 27 people we sent you?
What happened to 27? It's not like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Right? He was like, he's like, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And I was like, so let me ask you a few questions. What's your pay scale? Well, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, what do you mean? I'm supposed to write how you compensate your employees. I'm supposed to recruit for you. That's what you paid for us, is send you new salespeople. Well, we didn't really have a pay scale. So I was like, oh, okay. And then how often do you guys do your meetings? He's like, well, we meet maybe once a month. So I'm like, okay, so we've been sending you salespeople every single week to then you meet with them once a month. Who's your sales manager? We don't have one. So I'm like, oh, so we're going to send you a bunch of new people that are going to show up to the office, and they're just going to
figure it out. like really?
He goes, how hard could door-to-door be?
Probably the hardest thing in the world.
He goes, it's not that hard. You're talking door to door, bro. It's easy. And I go, oh, it's easy. So if it were just easy, then they should just like wake up every morning and say, Timmy, let's go get our face kicked in 100 times today and be so excited tomorrow to do the same.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
I sold Kirby vacuums. That's how old I am.
As my dad did too.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh man, the worst. I mean,
it's hard.
It's so hard.
And I'm like, you don't think that they need a pick me up? They need somebody to go, hey, I know that it's hard. Keep grinding. We'll figure it out. You'll catch on. You'll overcome you don't think? And he goes, well, no. And I go, okay, let's just go through scenario number 2. If you were to hire a customer service rep because your other lady quit, does she need a manager? I don't believe in that. I go, so she starts day 1. What does her first week look like? Sitting, twiddling thumbs, being like, figure it out? Like, what is this?
Literally, and it's interesting, we would go in, we'd fly around the world to consult for salons, and I'd be like, okay, cool. Can you share with me your receptionist training manual?
What's that?
Well, what's the script when someone gets on the phone? How do they determine where a client would go? And are you calling them clients? Are you calling them the guests? How are you greeting them? And what's the story that they're telling? Do you have a script for each one of your team members, each one of your artists? Because an artist needs a script. Like, what are they saying about that person that's consistently being generated across the phone? Seems like you're getting 200-300 phone calls a day. Like, how do they answer the phone? Like, it should be simple.
Just simple. So I'm like, you've paid us to fly out there and build that even for you. And so then he calls me and he goes, you know what? Send your guy. He's all pissed because I'm just like owning him. Like, I'm just curious. I'm like, oh, just help me understand. So
I love that too. Help me understand.
I was like, okay, so can we send our film guy out and he can build out your training, which was one of the things you've paid for, you haven't let us do. It's like, yeah, send him out here. I'm going to make him just wash my car. Like, and he just gets all mad. And I was like, I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate that, but he's willing to do it. You have paid for that. So if you want me to book his flight, we'll send him out there and he can wash your car. Then I'm more than happy to do that.
Somebody really said that to you?
Yeah. And I was like,
wow.
I'm like, if you want to face him, and I'll let him know, he'll be, hey, free trip to California you've paid for. So, and it was just like, I was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
it's
so you just
incredible.
you get certain people that have this mentality and it's like this, I'm like, man, I feel bad. And so then I asked him, I was like, how long have you been in business? He's like, 15 years. And I was like, okay, congrats for being in business for 15 years.
How is he in business for 15 years?
So then I go, well, how many salespeople do you have? He's like, 1. And I go, oh. And what does he do? Takes the leads that come from the internet and probably calls them and sells whatever you feel like is comfortable. And how are you going to grow?
15 years, 1 salesperson.
Exactly. I'm like, so how are you going to grow? And I said, if you want to just die with 1 salesperson and your current brand carrying you because you probably just happen to be the only patio dude in the Google listing that showed up, congratulations. We call that a dependent on the system. And I said, if you ever want to go scale this to anything greater than this.
And we have friends. I have really good friends who have $5, $6, $7, $8 million businesses. Their businesses peak and valley, peak and valley, peak and valley. And if you ask them, well, what's your sales system? Well, their biggest, the rhetoric that they share is always, well, we work off of referrals.
Yeah. Totally.
And I'm like, how's that working out?
That is the most common answer. They're like, oh no, we don't do.
We have a relationship.
We do referral based. And I go, so maybe 2 appointments a week that your guys generated from a referral, maybe. And what do they do the rest of the week? So I'll go to companies a lot and I'll ask people like, how many did you sell this month? And they're like, 3. And I'm like, so what'd you do the rest of the month? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm
well,
like,
how long does it take you to get that close?
I'm like, it took you an hour? Yeah. So I was like, so what'd you do the rest of the month?
You got 160 hours, let's say.
Yeah.
It took you an hour and a half, 90 minutes. What did you do for the other 159 hours?
So that's all I ask them. And then they're like, I'm like, no, I truly don't. It took you an hour. You went to okay. So hypothetically say maybe you closed 20% of the deals and maybe you went into 9 appointments. Okay. What'd you do the rest of the week?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like,
and they have and the truth is, again, that goes to that brilliant statement of toleration, that you're tolerating that behavior. You're tolerating your own behavior because you don't want to put in the work, the time, effort, and energy in order to build a referral system that's consistent. You don't have a funnel. You don't have a process to filter out so that your team is getting quality leads versus, picking up a phone book, which doesn't exist anymore. Or, and we see organizations where I'm like, how many I do this at my events all the time. I get everybody pull out their phone. How many contacts are in your phone? And, on average, it's like 1,800, 1,000. So generally, I think that national average is 900, right? I said, well, don't you think that at least 10% of them like you?
Yeah.
And would be willing to give you a referral? Well, there's 90 referrals in your phone that you haven't asked for. If they're willing to give you 2, there's 180. God willing, they would give you 3. That's 270 referrals. At 270 referrals, if each one of and if you have a closing ratio of 20%, let's just say, well, you're looking at 54 sales. If the average sale is $10,000, so you got $500,000 worth of leads in your phone that you're too lazy to go get. Why are you doing that?
Blows my mind.
Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And then you always have some knucklehead who raises their hand like me. It was 10,000 people. And you're like, okay, cool. So you must be a millionaire. How's it feel? What are you talking about? I'm here at one of your conferences to learn how to sell.
Dude, I went and trained a real estate group. So I was up in
they're
Vancouver,
the worst.
And I speak at an EXP conference last month in Vancouver. And, my book is Eat What You Kill. So it's just like very, very obvious. Like, it's like there's lead babies, there's herbivores, and there's carnivores. And I was like, I'm trying to be nice here, but there's not like, I'm not trying to be racist or anything. Like herbivores are good people too. You know what I mean? But I just said, who do you think's making the money? Like, you think that in today's real estate economy, like dudes just phones ringing being like, let's buy at the high interest rate and just like, let's just exist. And I go, it's the guy. And so then I go into the audience and I just say, same thing. I said, show me your calendar on your phone last week. And I just was like, look at all this white space. I guarantee you weren't sitting on your phone, just doing exactly what you just said and actually making phone calls. I guarantee you're twiddling thumbs, running around, pretending you were busy, you know what I mean, to try to fill time.
Yeah.
But like you probably talked to 3 people last week. Let's be real.
And then you wonder, here's an interesting stat, because we coach a couple of big realtors here in Utah. And the average real estate agent last year, right, 70% of them did not sell a house.
It's crazy.
Not one.
And I'm like, what'd you do all year?
What'd you do? Mortgage brokers, they sell 1 or 2 mortgage deals. I'm like, what's your commission? Well, $2,600. So you're really a part-time person, because no one in the United States can survive on $20,000. Nobody. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you sold $1 billion property, okay, cool.
Yeah, we
then, party. But if you sold a $500,000 national average house, you got to, and you're only getting 1.5%. Let's just do the math. You made $7,500. You're not getting very far at $7,500.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And I think that the fear of failure is what pushes people out of this more than, it's like, what if I call and they say no? And I think if people could do a little bit of internal processing around that is part of life. Mm-hmm. Life will tell you no. You just got to get and go knock another door. You know what I mean? Like, and those that are willing to get off their freaking butt, get their face kicked in over and over and over again. That's the guy that, like, looping back to the professional that we're looking for is that guy that was like the Jake Pauls, the Michael Jordans of the world. It's like, no matter what they did, they were going to be an expert because they had the tenacity to go get their face kicked in over and over and over and over again until they got there. Yeah. And too many people aren't willing to do that.
And old school guys like myself, we grew up on Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar, and it was like, how many no's can you get before you get to a yes? Yeah. Like, you want to be the collector of no's, because the next one is going to be a yes. The odds are always in your favor. That's actually a great title for a book. The odds are always in your favor.
That's good.
Yeah, I think I'll use that on my next one. But you want to be in that spot, because you have to learn not only to deal with a no, but to reprocess it as like, oh man, that's awesome. And there's so many books on extrapolating. Okay, cool. If you did say yes, like I'm sure you've read Chris Voss, Black Swan, like he's just a genius. Like, well, if you did say yes, what would have gotten you there, right? Yeah. It's like, at least I'm going to learn something. I'm going to pull something out of this relationship. Yeah, it's just, and then you see guys like Patrick Bet-David, who just crushes it. They don't accept no's, not in their vocabulary, but they're super confident to deal with a no. It's just not in their vocabulary. Yeah. So they turn no's into yeses, which I think is just that's the pinnacle. I know that's what you're doing for your clients. You're teaching them those components. You've got perhaps the best internal energy of anybody I've ever seen on stage. I love watching you. I love to be a fly on the wall at one of your training events, because I'm sure you're killing it.
Come door con. January 23rd and 24th, right here at the Expo Center.
We will. I'll be there again this year for sure, and I will be making sure to pass out your flyers, because what you do is it's truly, Sam, it's incredible.
Thank you.
It's incredible. Really, if anybody has the time or energy, they can find your book, right?
Eat What You Kill.
Eat What You Kill, and it's on Amazon?
Yep.
Right on. So it's on Amazon. Do me a favor. Buy the book, leave a review. Nothing is as cool as getting reviews.
Love them.
Yeah, we love them. We love reviews on our books. And the next thing I would say is try to find out, reach out, because you have a podcast. Yep. And it's killing it. And you give a tremendous amount of advice. You've got like 40 or 50,000 people following you right now on that podcast. So reach out, find more of what you can get from Sam. And man, thank you for taking the time. It's a great afternoon. I learned a lot, man.
No, it's been fun.
And it's always nice to see really enthusiastic young people who get it, just kill it. I want to just see you crush it. Get to 1 billion, brother.
Thank you.
This is the Utah Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Peter Anthony. Like, subscribe, share, share, share. Nothing happens without you sharing. There's plenty of wisdom to go around. We love you. Let's spotlight your business.